Other things you need to know. Come over this way so you don't have to be in the sun the whole time. And speaking of the sun, your 4x1 team, I don't care what athletes, you're here in Ohio, sometimes you don't get any sunshine. But if you did, you got a lot of meets and it gets hot. The heat in the sun will drain you. So keep them out of the sun, keep them in the shade, and lots of water. Well hydrated. The way we have two tests, and one is I just pinch your, give me your hand, Okay, if you go like this, and the skin doesn't go right back down, you're dehydrated. If it goes up there and it stays there, goes down slowly, you're dehydrated. And of course you can do your self-check by urine. If your urine's not clear, you're not hydrated enough. If you're thirsty, like I am now because y'all didn't bring me water, it's already late. You're much more likely to get hurt. Which brings up another good point. I've never had anybody pull, and I've coached 40-some years, I've never had anybody pull a hamstring. I've had a couple strain, I've never had anybody pull. And one of the things goes back to the young man I was telling you about before, Sven Nylander. Sven was from Sweden and obviously a great athlete and a great student. I mean, a 4.0, the whole gamut. But you know, when you do lift, you go in, let's say you're doing extensions. You never do both legs at the same time, all right? And the reason you don't do both legs at the same time is because one is probably a little bit stronger than the other, and then you'll be lifting. The stronger one will lift more, and you'll get more of a muscle inbounce. You get a muscle inbounce, you pull. Well, Sven, he could turn over with the same leg and do it with his hamstrings. Just ripped. I mean, it's like a washboard back there. And a lot of people right now, I venture to guess, most of you and your athletes, they'll be a lot stronger here than back here. So we do a lot of hamstring work. I mean, lots of hamstring work. We try to have a 1-to-1 ratio. And when it happens, because you're limited, if this is weak, you can only go as fast as this allows you. So do more hamstring work. Maybe sometime you guys come over and we'll talk a little bit about weightlifting and some things like that, and I'll show you things to do or things not to do. And that's important too, things not to do, and go from there. You got another question?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I know you weren't gonna spend a lot of time on the blocks, but I used to hear a lot about the ankles. If you don't have strong ankles, you're not gonna come out the blocks.
That's why the bounding, you're always running 1 foot at a time. That's why we work out. It goes back to lifting. You do a lot of one-legged squats, lunges, and things like that. But your ankles, yes, it's like the springboards. Get stronger ankles, you're less likely to pull, or less likely to twist, and you'll get faster. Yeah, you want very strong ankles. Your team, all right, so you get assigned, we're a relay team. We get together, the lead-off leg, okay, you're lead-off. You're in charge. You make sure we have a baton. You make sure we have tape. You make sure we have pins. We have our numbers, the whole gamut. And the relay card filled out with names and everything on it. But we find out we're assigned in the first round in the trials, we're in lane 2. So we as a group, we go around to lane 2. We walk and we see if there's anything, now obviously if you're at the NCAA championships or you're at the state high school meet, the tracks are probably pretty good shape. But not all your tracks are. And you want to see if there's little dips or if there's a little crack in the thing. You want to see any problems. You also want to make sure you familiarize yourself with the fly line and the exchange zone. Okay, the exchange zone is going to be 20 meters. You want to make sure you know exactly where it is. But the most important thing, because if you haven't seen this happen, you will see it happen, where a team goes out and they're running in lane 3 and their anchor's in lane 4 or lane 2, or someone's in the wrong lane. Okay, so make sure we're all in the same lane. Make sure the anchor, okay, you're anchoring, you make sure you know where the finish line is. I've seen too many teams run and stop the wrong line. So you make sure and you run through the line, but you know where the line is. Right? That's very important. So now let's go on over to an exchange zone, and I'm going to show you how to put your markings down and go from there. All of you know this is your fly line. You can actually stand. You got 10 meters from here to the beginning of the zone. You cannot take the baton from here to the zone. The baton must be on the inside before you can take it. So even though if you're on the inside, if you reach back and the baton's still out in here, you'd be DQ'd. You cannot step back and go. Anything back there, you're disqualified. You must stay on this side. But this gives you 10 meters, gives you running start. What I usually do, we'd have another little piece of tape. We mark back 8 to 10 steps. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is what I call a lean line. I put a little piece of tape down because the runners, you don't want to be standing here the whole time, ready to go, because your legs will start quivering. All right, so when you get to there, then you lean, you get down into your 3. Do you know what I mean by 2-point or 3-point? 2-point, 1, 2. 3-point, my hands down. I prefer you to be down. I prefer 3-point. And you're looking back. So if I'm right here, right here. Okay. That way. Right? Yeah, now you can see a little bit better. See the difference? And I'll show you why I prefer that way. So you're going to come up to the line, whether you're running the 400, 800, or whatever, you're not using blocks. And I'm going to say set, and I want you to just run to the number. Okay? And you guys are going to do the same thing. Set. All right. Set. All right, one more time. Set. What you're looking for, the mistakes your athletes will make. And I'd say 9 out of 10 of them will make this mistake. One of these mistakes. They come up to the line and they'll have the wrong hand forward. I can't run like this. So what would happen if we put this in super slow motion? You would see before they take off, they switch their arms. All right, that takes time. That's a little thing. Now you're saying, oh, well, in a 400, 800, how much difference does it make? Not a whole lot. Let's say it was a cross-country race and there's 200 runners. Now a whole bunch of people got in front of you. All right, the other big mistake is they'll be here, they'll lift their foot up, and then put it back down. The time it takes you to lift it up, put it down, other people are going forward. And then the other mistake people will make is that they'll be here and they'll step back. They'll go backwards to go forward. Okay, they'll be here, they'll do everything right, and they'll go here and go like that. You've made most of those mistakes somewhere along the line. What you want to do is get a lot of weight on your front foot. So when they call you up, you got to be perfectly relaxed. Cody, like you were up there and you were, okay, I'm ready. That's why I didn't do anything. And after a while, you'll be, yeah. So you stay relaxed until they say set. And then you're here, weight on my front foot, and boom. And Miles did a pretty good job on that. So those are another thing. That's why your athletes, you know, they'll get excited and they'll do this. That's why I prefer 3-point. But whatever you're doing, make sure to do the same thing if they do in practice, they do in the meet. You don't switch it all of a sudden you're 3-point and you get up there and then you start standing because the timing will get thrown off. This, and you let go of it, that would be an illegal exchange because the baton is not on the inside of the zone. The baton would have to be up here. This would be legal. More importantly, the same way on the way out, and we'll just turn around here. I could be out of the zone, but if the baton is right here and he lets go, if we both have it, we'll be disqualified. But if he lets go and the baton is on the inside of the lane, we're good. So it doesn't matter where I am, it's the baton. It has to be from here all the way down to the other end, this line down there. You got 20 meters. But you get a running start. Another little thing, I've seen this so happen. One of the first things you do is you have your athletes go back and pick up all the tape that's in their lane, especially if there's been other rounds and so forth. Other people got markings down. You got to go and move those, and you throw it in the neighbor's lanes. No, you don't do that. But you take it and get it off to the side, because pen relays. I don't know. It's a fantastic meet. Try to get your athletes there. But anyway, they have hundreds of 4x1s, and again, we've made a mistake before. We had a pretty good 4x1 team. My kid goes back and they go bam, 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 bam. As soon as one race finishes, next one starts. He went back, put his 25 steps back, came back up here. He looked back and there's about 50 pieces of tape. He couldn't remember which one was his. All right. So take the other pieces of tape up, and let's say you're going to give the incoming runner 24 steps. So you would start right across from here. Put your heel right there. Yep. Okay. Now, he's the second leg and the fourth leg. They're going to walk on the inside because their runner is coming on this side. Does that make sense? All right, go ahead and mark. When you get to 20, when you get to 23, stop. All right, there's 23 steps. So what we do, he has 3 pieces of tape to him, or tennis balls or whatever he's using. All right, he'll put 1 piece of tape there, take 2 more steps. Another piece of tape there. Then we take the third one here. So I form an N or a Z, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so when the incoming runner gets here, how fast are you taking off?
Full speed.
Full speed. You're going like you're coming out of blocks. All right, you're trying to run away from him. And hopefully we make the exchange where?
In the triangles.
Within the triangles, which is 20 meters, but where in the triangles? At the end of the zone. And a lot of coaches will tell you, and I'm not saying, that's whatever. I know that we've run faster when we've gotten late in the zone. And what you want to do, the key is tying the baton through the zone. A lot of times we'll have people run, and to see if it's good, if you have a good stick, someone else runs alongside them right there. Now, we got to the point where we didn't yell stick, because everybody's yelling stick. We knew we got to a certain point in the lane, if that was the end of our zone, we're right here, our hand automatically went back. So ours was, there was no, we didn't call stick or anything like that. The only time we would call something out is if we weren't going to make the exchange, the incoming runner, you'd call a name or a cue or some word. And that means the outgoing runner, instead, you don't stop. You stop accelerating. You kind of coast a little bit. Instead of driving, you kind of just coast because it's going to be so close, and then you get to stick. Because it's much better to be that than to be DQ'd. Although, we got to get the timing just right. But we're going out hard. You get to the NCAAs, there's a lot of things that take place. There'll be other people yelling, stick, 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 or they'll try to get you to go early. You got to be focused. I was fortunate enough to be one of the coaches at the World Championships up in Edmonton in 2001. And Jamaica, who usually has a great 4x1 team, their number 3 athlete is down there talking. He's in his lane, but he's talking to a guy on the side who's a long jumper.
Watching over there, and I think that he was talking to James Beckford, who's competing in the final of the long jump, while he was waiting for the baton.
And the incoming runner just runs right by him. Now, when you're coaching this, the incoming runner, you try to run right past. You don't slow up. 2 mistakes, we talked about one before, running out here with the baton saying stick, that will slow you down drastically. And the other is you putting the brakes on because it looks like you're going to overrunning, and then he starts taking off fast, and then you don't make the exchange. So go ahead and overrunning, okay? That's why. Remember the rule? What's the rule about the baton? Stays in the middle of the lane. So you'll be on your half, you'll be on this half. The reason that is so we run shorter distance, but it's also so we don't run into each other. So if I take off late, or he's gone in too fast, again, when you go to warm up, all warm up together.